Hello there. This land was made for you and me. This is from the Woody Guthrie Museum, which is actually just down the street from my mom's house. Hopefully we'll get to go. Yes, I will actually. Yes, and show you. I actually might do a virtual tour if they will allow me to, so I can talk about the second paper that you're going to do. Which is looking at a tourist site in South Carolina and all the various persuasive messages that they use to try to get folks to go to their thing, their site. But you are concerned with the very first paper, and that is basically an analysis paper of a 30-second commercial. And hopefully you've read a little bit about that in the syllabus, and I have put together more of a detailed assignment for that is now on KC for you to read. I'm not going to talk about it right now. You still got about 3 weeks to write that paper. And I love rough drafts, but what I would do if I were you is start thinking about a particular 30-second commercial that you would like to analyze. And one thing that I do say in the assignment, it can be a political ad, but I want it to be mostly sort of selling something, so like beer commercials or food commercials, soda commercials. You know what I'm talking about. Willis. I don't know what you're talking about, Willis. Okay, different strokes for different folks. So that's up, and also I've been trying to find most of you, or I've been trying to find all of you actually on Twitter and on Tumblr, and I need to go back and look at the threads. But most all of you I found, I think, but I need to go back and do that. I do want to give you some sort of feedback, but sometimes that feedback, like for Twitter and for Tumblr, is probably going to be maybe a little heart or a like, and just because I'm glancing through those just to make sure that you're engaged in the material. I get a sense that you are reading the material and watching my lectures. Again, I don't do this for kicks and giggles, though I do get a kick out of it, and I giggle. But the main thing is hopefully if some things are confusing in the book, that up and away in our beautiful, beautiful balloon. That was in any case. That these lectures will be helpful, or just the repetition of reading stuff and then listening to me sort of go on about stuff would be very, very helpful. But I was really pleased with what I saw, the Tumblr blogs and the tweets for the most part. And I need to go back and look again at some of the threads, but I was really pleased with what you were doing. I'm going to keep the thread open for this week, just so you all will. I know the first week is a little bit difficult getting into things, but next time I will shut them down per week. So even though this is asynchronous, I still want you to do things per week. In any case, things are going well on my end, I think. I hope that you're reading and learning and all that jazz. Terrible thing, terrible event, horrific event in Orlando. Erica actually posted on Twitter how this might impact the class, and I think, as I said in the email that I sent you this morning, it is a horrific event, but it's also a teachable moment. Is a case study for how people use persuasion, and I'm trying to understand persuasion, so we'll see what happens. I'll let you read my email, but I'll see how I'll try to incorporate some of that stuff. I imagine that we'll see some sort of big memorial later on. Maybe the president will give a national eulogy, for those of you who took my presidential rhetoric class last semester, or last summer I should say, but we'll see. So in any case, so papers, assignment, read it, go read it. This week is chapter 2 and 3. Read those chapters. If you haven't done the first tweet, do so. If you haven't done the first Tumblr, do so. If you haven't been threading, do so. If you have, and I haven't looked at it, I will soon, hopefully. Yes, I will. Yes, I can. So I'm going to try to be somewhat brief here, even though I'm going on for 5 minutes. And also, by the way, just always email me if you have any questions. And also, I'll give you my cell phone number if you need to talk, if you're confused about things. But I will be back into Columbia next Wednesday. But then after that, I'll be at the beach actually for a week. So I'll be doing online lectures from the beach. But in any case, what I want to do, there's tons of theories in Chapter 2, and lots of stuff on ethics in Chapter 3. And for this very first bit, I'm just going to cover a little bit of the very first chapter. I'm going to sort of skip a little bit, but I'll let you read everything that you want to read. So let me just get on with it. I object. One of the things that I really do like about this book, again, as I said for the very first chapter, is that each chapter has its own list of objectives. So things that they want the readers to learn. So hopefully, and you can, again, like last time, use this as a checklist. You can go back and say, did I learn this stuff? List the 5 functions of communication theories. Oh, that's cool. Describe Aristotle's theory of persuasion. Well, that's cool. Though I'm not going to cover that because I've covered that in tons of other classes. Read it. It's awesome. It's cool. Describe semiotics and the different ways that symbols have meaning. We'll talk about that today. Describe cognitive dissonance theory. We'll talk about that today. Elaboration likelihood model and problematic integration theory. I'm not going to talk about problematic integration theory. I'll let you read that. I know it's problematic, but I'll let you read that. Describe symbolic convergence theory. I'll cover that. And describe various theories of media, including a two-step flow of information. I won't talk about that. Uses and gratification theory, yeah. Cultivation analysis, I think, yeah. Agenda setting, blah, blah, blah. So in any case, I love the objectives. You will be learning lots of stuff. And this chapter, if you've started this, is really all about Oprah. Not really. I'll let you read the very first bit. But one of the things that's sort of important before we get into all this stuff is they rightfully sort of describe what a theory is. By the way, did you know this is Monday? I didn't do that. I usually do that. It's Monday, June 13th. It's 2:36 Central Time, my time, live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're an hour behind you. So you, well, never mind. I was trying to come up with a time joke, but not the right time. It's interesting how they talk about theory, so I think that's important to understand. Obviously, theories are constructed by human beings to try to figure things out, explain stuff. Theories are human constructions. No one theory completely or accurately describes a concept it sets out to explain. Yeah, so I really do like that when they get into that first section, the nature of theory, that they do in fact define theory before they get into describing different types of theories. And by the way, table 2.2, look at all those theories, all the things that are covered in this book. Holy moly, and a monkey. It's great, awesome, cool. A theory, they say, this is from Littlejohn and Karen Foss. A theory is an answer to a question. Why does a monkey throw feces? Because it wants to. I don't know. I need to go watch the Animal Channel to figure that out. But in any case, I think because it's angry. I don't know. Theories are used to answer a question. It explains why people do what they do. A theory of persuasion is a set of statements designed to describe, explain, and predict persuasive communication. So it explains data. Not from Star Trek. I've been watching Star Trek lately just because it's on TV. I'm explaining why is it that when I say certain things as a persuader, the persuadee might do certain things. It explains. It can predict. So we see patterns. So I can try to predict. If I put this type of visual or message in a commercial, I can try to predict that maybe this will happen. And then, of course, theory should, express ideas simply. So theoretical statements should flow smoothly from one another. Those who design theory should avoid overly complex frameworks. Those are fireworks. Of course, I'll let you read that, but most theories is a little bit too complex. Well, there's random people outside. That's cool. I like outside people. And also, I gotta figure out how to do this. See, here's the balloon. Can you see it? You can't see it. It's a little higher balloon. Up and away in our beautiful balloon. No, I don't like what I see. Okay. And identify testable hypotheses so that they can be proven wrong through some sort of experiment or whatever. And all this stuff, all this theory stuff that they talk about, the first is really, as I say, sciency. She blinded me with science. She blinded me with science. Good Lord, Miss Yakamoto, you look beautiful. I think that's her name. Can't remember. But in any case, one of the things I highlight here is that they can also be very practical. That is, they have utilities. They can be useful as a persuader, so that we can use these theories as we are trying to persuade other people, but also as a persuadee or as a consumer, we can try to sort of investigate that they are using certain theories on us to understand the process there, blah, blah, blah. So, but all this stuff is very sciencey, so that's why I have more. She blinded me with science. Science! Okay. So a lot of those perspectives are very sciencey, so just realize that even though humanists use, the idea of science, or use the idea of theory and everything like that, their framework is very, very sciencey. So, and the first stuff that they, particularly the predicting and stuff, but the first stuff that they talk about is actually not science. Oh, by the way, stuff is cool. I'm trying to explain more about the sciencey aspect of their definition and everything like that. Their sciencey stuff is really looking at persuasion from much more of a psychological point of view. And a lot of these things perhaps you would learn in a psychology class. And they teach persuasion and psychology. Psychology and persuasion and communication studies and all that stuff is very closely related. So it's psychological in part because it's concerning mental schemes and how audiences receive and then act on information, effect, and stuff like that. But oftentimes science folks, psychological folks are interested in attitudes, beliefs, and values. There's more to it than that. There's more complicated, as I say there. But one of the things that I want you to think about as we sort of move through some of these theories is what these things are. So, for instance, an attitude is a judgment about whether something is good or bad. Governor Haley is a good governor. Governor Sanford wasn't. He hiked too much. A belief is a judgment as to whether something is true or probable. Haley has made South Carolina better, or Haley doesn't. And then a value is relative worth of something. I value equality, I value lives, I value love. In a sense, oftentimes what we're interested in when we're using sort of these more scientific types of approaches to understanding persuasion, we're interested in how a persuasive message might change somebody's attitude, belief, or value, and then of course, they act from that. That is the persuadee, the audience, the consumers, whatever you want to call it. So just some basic stuff in there. So the stuff that I'm not going to cover, that ain't really science. Look at that. Because I'm going to talk first about, I'm going to skip some stuff, but I'm going to talk about semiotics, ace of base. I saw the sign. God, I hated that song. I still hate that song. So I'm skipping stuff, as I just said. And the stuff I'm skipping, look at that bounce. That's Aristotle. I know all of you are going, what? Dr. Munsell's not going to talk about Aristotle? Yeah. But I cover that in so many different classes that I didn't want to be too terribly redundant, and I know that you can read. So I will let you read about the early rhetorical theory, but please know Aristotle, know his different types of speeches and canons of rhetoric and all that stuff, ethos, pathos, and logical stuff we cover in Com 100. And that internet activity might be a really cool thing to do for Tumblr on presidential persuasion. That would be awesome. You don't have to, but you could. Topol. I mean, there's all this cool stuff in here. The 5 cannons, blah 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 blah. So I'll let you read.